Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today's story is one that cuts deep into the heart of democracy, accountability, and international corruption. We're talking about a high-level electoral scandal that stretches across borders, from the halls of power in Harare to financial institutions in South Africa. A story involving billions of rands, suspicious tenders, secretive transactions, and a prominent Zimbabwean banker now caught in the eye of the storm. So, if you care about clean governance, election integrity, and how elite corruption is hidden behind legitimate contracts, make sure you stick around. Like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below with your thoughts. Let's get into it. The scandal centers around the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, or ZEC, and a shady R2 billion tender awarded to a South African printing company. This tender was supposedly for electoral materials used in Zimbabwe's 2023 general elections. On the surface, that sounds like just another administrative procedure. But beneath the surface, investigators in both Zimbabwe and South Africa are now uncovering what could be one of the most egregious cross-border money laundering schemes in recent Southern African history. At the center of it all is a well-connected Zimbabwean banker. His name hasn't yet been released to the public, but sources from Zimbabwe's Anti-Corruption Commission and South African Financial Intelligence Unit suggest he played a critical role in facilitating the movement of money. Essentially, this banker allegedly acted as a fixer, an intermediary who structured the financial arrangements between the Zimbabwean government and the South African supplier. Financial records show that the South African company received a staggering R1.2 billion from the Zimbabwean government. That's right, R1.2 billion, nearly 60% of the total tender value. But how was this money moved? Who authorized the payments? And why were traditional oversight mechanisms bypassed? Leaked memos and internal bank records reportedly reveal that this banker ensured the payments were discreetly funneled through complex financial channels, avoiding detection and public scrutiny. This isn't just corruption, it's a well-oiled operation designed to dodge accountability at every turn. In South Africa, authorities are now conducting full forensic audits of all the transactions linked to this deal. There's concern that the money may have passed through commercial banks that either failed to raise red flags or actively ignored them. For a country already battling reputational damage from the state capture years, this case is another worrying sign that the shadow economy of politics and finance is alive and well. Meanwhile, in Zimbabwe, the fallout has been swift and intense. Public outrage is growing, with civil society organizations, watchdog groups, and opposition parties calling for a full parliamentary inquiry. Many are accusing ZEC of acting not as an independent electoral body, but as a willing participant in state-sponsored corruption. One civil society leader in Harare called it, quote, a betrayal of public trust and an insult to the democratic process. And let's be clear, the anger isn't just about money. It's about legitimacy. It's about whether the 2023 elections were truly free and fair, or whether the electoral process was compromised by corrupt financial dealings from the very beginning. This controversy also throws ZEC's credibility into serious doubt. In a country where elections have long been contested, often marred by violence, intimidation, and vote-rigging allegations, this tender scandal may be the final nail in the coffin for public confidence in Zimbabwe's electoral process. But what makes this case even more serious is its international dimension. This isn't just a Zimbabwean scandal. It involves South African companies, banks, and possibly even regulatory failures. The fact that nearly R2 billion could move across borders under the radar, without detection by tax authorities or anti-money laundering frameworks, is deeply troubling. It also raises serious questions about South Africa's banking sector. If commercial banks were used to facilitate these transactions, why were there no alarms triggered? Was there willful blindness or even collusion? Or is the system simply not equipped to detect sophisticated financial crimes that have political backing? Analysts warn that if strong action isn't taken soon, the damage could extend beyond reputations. It could destabilize investor confidence, strain diplomatic relations between Zimbabwe and South Africa, and deepen public disillusionment with electoral institutions across the region. Already, there are whispers of political protection. Some believe the unnamed banker has ties to high-level officials in both countries, which may explain the initial silence and slow pace of investigations. Others are calling for asset freezes, criminal charges, and full transparency regarding every official and entity linked to this R2 billion tender. As the investigations continue, more revelations are expected to come to light. Whistleblowers have reportedly begun cooperating with authorities, and there's talk of leaked emails and voice recordings that could expose the full scope of the conspiracy. For now, the public is left with more questions than answers. Who approved the tender? Why was a South African company chosen? What role did political elites in Harare and Johannesburg play? And perhaps most importantly, will anyone actually be held accountable? This isn't just about one tender. It's about how corruption corrodes democracy from the inside out. It's about how the elite, across borders, use state contracts, public funds, and technicalities in the law to enrich themselves while ordinary people suffer. So as we await the next chapter in this unfolding scandal, let's remember what's at stake. Trust, integrity, democracy, and the future of two nations locked in a web of financial secrecy and political compromise. That's it for today's video. If you found this story as disturbing and important as we did, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more political investigations and commentary. And drop a comment below. Do you think anyone will actually face justice in this case? Or will this just be another scandal swept under the rug? Thanks for watching, and as always, stay informed, stay critical, and see you next time.